Alright, who can tell me what's the best receptacle to make mulled wine in? That's right, if you mull in a vat.
What is red and white, celebrated once every year, and is possibly buried somewhere in Kilkenny?
If you guessed a pint of Smithwick's, you'd be wrong, because where would that be buried?
The answer is Santa Claus, of all people, would you believe it? Possibly. Let's talk about that today. Well, in order to find out, we're going to have to take a little journey, aren't we? So we're going to take good old Daisybell here and go down to Jerpoint Abbey in Kilkenny, a little town about 2 kilometres away from Thomastown, which is about 20 kilometres away from Kilkenny. Let's hit the road. Oh, you are tired, Daisybell. I haven't ridden around much recently because, well, I've been busy and it's been cold. Now we have a long journey ahead of us to get to Jerpoint Abbey from here. So sit back and enjoy the ride. And here we are at Jerpoint Abbey. So what is Jerpoint Abbey? It's an abbey at Jerpoint. Jerpoint being a bridge crossing over the Nore. Why is it called Jerpoint? I'm not sure. Ah, poetry in motion, says you. Well, let's go in for a little look. Zoop. And we'll park out here. She can stay in first, it's fine. Let's go in.
Jerpoint Abbey is one of the most complete Cistercian monasteries remaining in Ireland. Its story begins around 1158 when it was founded by, say it with me now, Duncad o Duncada MacGilla Fádrig, the king of Osrig. Osrig, anglicised as Ossory, was a medieval kingdom in Ireland encompassing County Kilkenny and some of Laois to the north. The abbey was home to Cistercian monks, known for strictly adhering to the rule of Saint Benedict, which emphasised poverty, manual labour and self-sufficiency. There were around 36 monks and 50 lay brothers at Jerpoint Abbey. Cistercian monasteries were often established in remote rural areas far away from major cities and towns. This isolation was intentional, allowing the monks to live a life full of contemplation, prayer, and work without the distractions of the outside world. This isolation quickly came to an end when 2 towns sprouted nearby. To the west, the lost medieval town of Newtown Jerpoint in the 12th century, and to the north, Thomastown in the 13th. These places shared a symbiotic relationship with the abbey, thriving together through trade and agriculture. For the monks, their days began in the pre-dawn darkness as they gathered in the abbey's chapel for the first of the divine offices, a series of communal prayers that structured their daily routine. In the stillness of these hallowed halls, the monks observed a strict vow of silence, an essential aspect of their spiritual discipline. Their time was meticulously divided between prayer, meditation and labour. The fertile land surrounding the abbey provided the backdrop for their agricultural endeavours, where they engaged in farming and manual labour in workshops. This work was not merely a means of sustenance, but a form of meditation and service, reflecting their belief in the sanctity of physical toil. Meals were simple, often vegetarian, and eaten in silence while one monk read aloud from the religious texts, providing spiritual nourishment alongside physical sustenance. Adhering to the rule of Saint Benedict, the monks of Jerpoint Abbey sought to achieve a balance between their inner spiritual journey and their contribution to the monastic community, striving for a life of humility, obedience, and pious devotion. The abbey is laid out in the traditional Cistercian way, with a cruciform church to the north and with cloisters to the south. The architectural styles within the abbey reflect the transition from Romanesque to Gothic architecture. In the church we find a number of tombs with striking carvings. Some depict saints and apostles, while others depict bishops, abbots and holy men. There's also an effigy of 2 Norman knights who may have been the ones who stole Santa Claus. More on that later. These delightful fellows are named the Weepers, and they are on the tomb of Felix O'Delaney, Bishop of Ossory, who was interred there in 1202. To the south we find the cloister, which would have been a covered walkway, lined with arches, and it connected the church to other important parts of the monastery. It and the enclosed garden would have provided the monks a central space where they could engage in various activities in relative seclusion from the outside world. Carved into the arches of the cloister, we can find more saints and religious figures, as well as knights and, unexpectedly, fantastical beasts like wyverns, manticores, and dragons. It's well worth it to walk through slowly and admire all these carvings. The Abbey flourished until the 16th century, when the Dissolution of the Monasteries Act under Henry VIII marked the end of an era for Jerpoint Abbey. In the 1540s it was surrendered by the last abbot, Oliver Grace, who left with the last of the monks and no possessions. It was then granted to James Butler, the 9th Earl of Ormond, and the abbey then became merely a place of internment. Since the 1880s, it's been under the care of the Office of Public Works, preserving its legacy for future generations. But you're probably wondering, what does all that have to do with Santa Claus? To find out, let's discuss some history. Back in the 3rd century AD, when a man named Nicholas was born, he was born as a baby in the town of Patara in modern-day Turkey. He lived in a region known as Lycia, and later on in his life moved to the city of Myra, where he became a bishop, and Myra was a town renowned for its cultural and religious significance. Nicholas was a very compassionate man and became renowned for his acts of secret gift-giving. He became known as the patron saint of children, and when he died on December 6, 343 AD, he was buried in Myra. Due to the presence of holy relics, the site became a popular pilgrimage for Christians around the world. What are relics? Well, holy relics are a bit grim. They're remnants of the person. You can find them in churches around the world. They might be something like a finger or a skull or teeth or sometimes hearts and lungs. I think in the church in Kilkenny there's hearts and lungs of... We're getting off topic. By the time of the Crusades, there was growing concern among the European Christian populace about the holy relics that were in Myra, as Myra was now under Muslim control. In 1087, a group of In 1087, a group of Italian merchants took advantage of the chaos of the time. Sailing from the coastal town of Abbey, they seized and liberated a significant portion of the relics of Saint Nicholas, among others, and then brought them back to the town of Abbey, where they're now housed today in the Basilica of Saint Nicholas. But what does all that have to do with Kilkenny? Well, apparently at the same time as all this chaos was going on, a group of Norman knights in the area decided, lads, we'll go down and we'll get some relics of our own. And they brought them back to Jerpoint Abbey. And then the relics were interred at Saint Nicholas Church, just up the road. Let's have a look there now.
So, there you have Jerpoint Abbey. But next, we're going to chance our arm at Jerpoint Park. Now, the lady in the visitor centre there said that it's probably closed for the season, but we're not ones to be deterred without having a look ourselves. So we're going to have a cheeky drive up and see if we can see the tomb of Saint Nicholas. And I left you in gear. I'm very sorry, Daisy. It's just up the road here now, though. Interestingly enough, I had a chat with a man. He said he liked the bike and stuff like that, and he told me a story of his father who bought a Velocette in Johannesburg, I think, and drove it all the way from Johannesburg through the Belgian Congo back here to Ireland, I believe. And later on, as he was a doctor, he worked on the set of The African Queen, you know, Humphrey Bogart and Aubrey Hepburn film. Very fascinating stuff. And he was asking all about the Royal Enfield, of course, and he's tempted to get one himself, but that's besides our story today. Listen to our pop. Woo! So you could just see Jerpoint Park from across the way, but what Jerpoint Park was a different medieval town. So the Cistercian monks built the monastery there to, you know, to get away from everyone, and it's quite funny then that fairly quickly enough 2 other settlements built up around them, because it was a good point in the world to have such settlements. But up this way now. As you can see, there's the river. What am I saying? Yeah, this is a lost medieval town. Now, unfortunately, I think you have to like book it to get in, and it's only open until September. But if the gates are open, cheeky people that are we, so we'll give ourselves a chance of trying it. If not, well, feck it, you know. In here. Ah, she's closed, lads. But we'll go up to the gate. So in that town there is a little church, and you can just see it from here, called the Church of Saint Nicholas, named after, of course, Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus. And he has a tomb there. I'm going to have to use stock images here. We'll come back in the summer and update this video, I suppose, but then it'll be out of season, won't it? But Daisy, you be quiet for a second. Sorry, God. Saint Nicholas is buried down in there. You can see where that sheep is kind of going up. That's where the Church of Saint Nicholas would be. There's an effigy, which is a stone carving on a sarcophagus of what's believed to be Saint Nicholas, surrounded by the 2 Norman knights that brought his holy relics here. There weren't any holy relics found on the site, so all the evidence, it's not exactly concrete. Or should I say, it's only concrete because it's only the stone effigy and the name of the church. There's some joke to be formed there, I don't know. Daisy, what do you think? Well, I hope the Jerpoint Abbey was a good point of the video. I'm sorry that we couldn't get to this one. But you know what? It's not a Bullet Wanderer video if something doesn't go wrong along the way.
The question you have now is, Brendan, is this all true? Sure, I don't know. I wasn't there. This was 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years before that. It's hard to know for fact, but it's nice to believe that it will be true. But of course, the true belief is that Santa Claus is not buried, and he is getting ready in the North Pole to deliver good presents to all the good girls and boys who liked, commented and subscribed to this channel after watching the video. I hope you have a happy Christmas or happy holidays, and I hope you have an even better New Year. Like, comment and subscribe for gifts from Santa, and I'll talk to you after. Goodbye!